Welcome to 90 Day Digest, the series where I sit through each week's 90-day episode and break it down so that you don't have to. All the drama, the romance, and none of the wasted time. On tonight's episode, we will be discussing Season 8, Episode 6 of Before the 90 Days, titled Brace for Impact. If you haven't seen my recap for the previous episode, feel free to click the link in the description below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's get into it. We are jumping right back in with Rick and Trisha. And honestly, these two are the definition of a toxic roller coaster. We catch up with them on their way to a beautiful tropical retreat, and we find out they had some makeup sex. Trisha admits she enjoyed it, which, let's be real, is a classic toxic trait. Nothing fixes a deep-seated lack of trust like a little physical affection, right? But the romance dies immediately, the second they drive past a mall. Trisha makes a comment about Rick buying her some stuff, and Rick instantly goes on the defensive. He calls her bougie. He calls her expensive. And then he drops the line that every stingy man on this show loves to say. He says, "I am no one's sugar daddy. Never have been, never will be." Trisha tries to defend herself, saying she is independent and doesn't need his money, but Rick is already spiraling. When they get to the hotel, Rick has the bed decorated with flowers, trying to be romantic. But Trisha is still mad about the car ride, so she blows it off. And Rick's response? He says, quote, "You don't care because the roses aren't made of gold." Wow, he is just hammering home this gold digger narrative. They get into a massive argument about it. Rick reveals he is already paying her rent, so he feels like he is doing enough. He tells her, to her face, that he will get her what she needs, not what she wants. That is a wild thing to say to your girlfriend on vacation. It sounds more like a parent talking to a toddler than a partner. Then Rick lets the mask slip completely. He says, "I could have found this attitude in the States." And there it is, folks. That is the Passport Bro manifesto right there. He went abroad specifically because he thought a foreign woman wouldn't ask him for anything. And now he is shocked that she wants to be treated nicely. Rick then pulls the ultimate manipulation card. He asks her, "What happened to loving me for me?" Trisha literally starts crying, assuring him she isn't in it for the money. Later, once they get to the island and have some drinks, Rick finally explains why he is so triggered. He talks about his ex-wife, Chinny from Nigeria, who apparently left him because he couldn't meet her financial expectations. So now, he is projecting all that trauma onto Trisha. They manage to smooth things over for now, with Trisha saying she just wants her basic needs met, and Rick asking if he is enough for her. It is a sweet moment, but let's not forget the elephant in the room. Rick is over here interrogating her about buying a handbag. Meanwhile, he is hiding the fact that he cheated on her with his ex. He is making her cry about money, while he is sitting on a betrayal that is going to destroy everything. We are just waiting for the moment she finds out so we can watch the inevitable crash out. We are back with Laura and Birkan at dinner, and the mood is heavy. They are still discussing Birkan's $50,000 of debt. Laura tells him point blank that her family suspects he is only in this for a green card. And after hearing about his financial mess, she is starting to believe them. Birkan tries to spin it, saying that if he were a liar, he never would have told her about the debt in the first place. That is some twisted logic. But okay. Laura is furious because Birkan sold her a dream. When they were talking online, he promised to be the provider and protector. But now that she is there, she realizes he is the one who needs providing and protecting. That is not what she signed up for. She tries to confront him later in the kitchen, but honestly, it feels a little staged. She is smiling while trying to be angry, and Birkan decides to solve the problem the only way he knows how. He pins her against the wall and kisses her. Laura literally asks, "You think a couple of kisses are gonna win me over?" And the answer is yes. Immediately, yes. Laura admits she doesn't care about the debt anymore. She just wants to get physical. She tells the cameras she needs time to see how red the red flags are. Laura, that is the definition of denial. You are looking at a stop sign and calling it a suggestion. The next day, they go to a glass shop to make traditional Turkish evil eye beads, and Laura decides to poke the bear. She asks why he never talks about his family. Birkan has been dancing around this topic for months, but now he just drops the bomb. He says his parents are not happy with him specifically because he is with Laura. Wait a minute. You are telling me this now? This feels like total manipulation. He drops this heavy information right when she is vulnerable. Laura, strangely enough, relates to it. Since her parents also disapprove of the relationship, she feels like it is them against the world. But then, the conversation pivots to Laura's best friend, Michael, and Birkan flips a switch. When Laura mentions him, Birkan straight up says, F Michael. Laura is stunned. Birkan tells her he doesn't trust Michael, and he wants her to cut him out of her life completely. Laura calls it an ultimatum, but Birkan disagrees. He says, quote, "It is not an ultimatum, because I know you will choose me over Michael." The arrogance on this man is off the charts. He essentially tells her that Michael is just an activity buddy, while he is the husband material. When Laura tries to argue that Michael isn't trying to cut Birkan out, Birkan shuts it down and decides to just walk away from the conversation. Laura is left standing there wondering if she is marrying a man or a child. She is finally realizing that this guy is controlling, broke, and secretive. He brings nothing to the table but debt and demands, yet he expects her to cut off her friends and fund his life. We are back with Stig and Aviva in San Pedro, just before his big show, and Stig gives us a delightful update on how he resolved their argument about his ex. He basically talked his way out of it, and then, to seal the deal, slept with Aviva 3 times without protection. This man thinks he can solve every problem by creating a bigger one, like an unplanned pregnancy. They grab drinks at the pier, and Aviva asks him about the set list. Stig mentions he will be performing his hit song, Vicky. The song is about his ex, and the concept is interesting. It is about a married woman in a loveless marriage and a bartender, a Stig, who shows her the love she needs. So essentially, it is a homewrecker anthem. Aviva brings up a rumor she heard from Aunt Spring that Vicky was at his last show and he went home with her. Stig denies it immediately, blaming it on the Belizean rumor mill and fake news. He tells her to ignore the gossip, but Aviva is still uncomfortable. She feels like singing a song about his ex is an invitation for her to show up. Stig insists he has to sing it because it is his most popular track. When Aviva suggests he cut it from the set, Stig gets annoyed. He thought Aviva was the cool girl, who wouldn't be jealous like all the others. He says this show could make or break their relationship. We get to the club, and honestly, it is not exactly Madison Square Garden. It is a little dead. Aviva is nervous, and then Stig starts singing Vicky. Not only does he sing the song she asked him not to, but he pulls a random girl on stage to perform with him. Aviva feels awkward, so she pulls out her phone and starts texting Aunt Spring. Stig spots her texting from the stage, and his ego takes a massive hit. He wants her undivided attention, even though he is currently grinding on another woman. He gets so distracted by Aviva ignoring him that he forgets the lyrics to his own song. He flubs the performance, and he is furious. Back at the hotel, the vibe is icy. Stig confronts her about being on her phone. He claims he was performing for her, which confuses Aviva since he was literally dancing with someone else. Aviva argues she is entitled to text her friends when she has to watch that mess. Stig goes full diva mode. He blames his bad performance entirely on her. He says she distracted him and wasn't supporting him. Aviva starts to panic. She is terrified that he thinks she is too jealous or crazy, and she is worried she might have scared him off for good. We finally catch up with Forrest and Sheena in the back of a tricycle taxi, heading toward the moment of truth. Meeting her parents, Forrest is sweating bullets because, as we know, he has to ask for their blessing while simultaneously planning to cut them off financially. He is probably wishing his mom Molly was there to act as a human shield right about now. They arrive at the house, and we finally meet Sheena's father, Steve, and her sister, Katrina. We learn that her mother is sick and won't be joining them, which is convenient, but the real shocker is the house itself. Forrest was expecting a shack. He was told they needed money for repairs and basic survival, but what he walks into is a multi-story, well-kept, fancy bed and breakfast that the family runs out of their home. Forrest looks around and realizes that all those checks he sent for repairs weren't keeping a roof over their heads. They were capital investments. He basically funded a hotel renovation. He notes that it is a nice, fancy place. And the realization washes over him. They aren't poor. They are business owners. Sheena admits in her confessional that, yes, she might have misled him about their living situation. You think? There is a big difference between we are starving and we need to upgrade the guest suite. They sit down for dinner, and it gets awkward fast. Sheena's sister asks Forrest what he was expecting. Forrest, having zero filter, tells them straight up that he was expecting less. And frankly, he was expecting a scam. That is a bold opener for a dinner conversation with your future in-laws. Then comes the financial interrogation. Forrest admits he is unemployed and broke. The sister asks what he does, and he explains he is on disability. She immediately asks, disability for what? Forrest explains he has autism and public speaking issues, which is why he is struggling in this very moment. He tries to recover by saying he wants the world for their daughter, but words don't pay the bills. Despite dropping the I have no job bomb, Forrest decides to just go for it and asks for their blessing right then and there. The dad says money is important for survival, but ultimately, he grants the blessing. But there is a catch. Immediately after saying yes, the dad asks if Forrest will help Sheena continue to supply funds to the parents. He admits Sheena is very helpful financially, and he doesn't want to lose that revenue stream. So Molly was right. They view this marriage as a transaction. Forrest warns them that Molly and Dev are coming the next day, and the family says they look forward to it. But Forrest knows the truth. He knows that the second Molly walks into that nice bed and breakfast and realizes her son's money went into starting a business instead of feeding a starving family, she is going to absolutely flip out. And honestly, I can't wait to see it. We are finally catching up with Lisa and Daniel the morning after their first night together. And Lisa is not exactly glowing. She basically admits that Daniel couldn't cross the finish line. She thinks he wasn't fully aroused, but Daniel claims he was just stressed and calls it a test run. Then Lisa drops way too much information. She says it was painful because he is bigger than she expected, which explains why she was screaming. But eventually, she decided it was sweet and gentle, and she declares that Daniel was made for her. The irony here is blinding. She is saying he is her soulmate, while actively hiding the fact that she is legally married to a woman. She is digging this hole deeper by the second. Later, they head to a market to get clothes for the wedding. Lisa stops to look at some chickens and mentions she used to raise them, conveniently leaving out the part where she raised those chickens with her ex-wife. Daniel tells her they need his uncle's blessing to get married because his parents aren't well. Lisa is confused about the timeline, but she agrees to play along. They go to a textile shop, and Lisa is unironically dressed like a nun. The shopkeeper tells her she needs to wear a head wrap, which sends Lisa into a panic because it conflicts with her wig situation. But then it gets worse. The shop lady takes one look at Lisa and basically says she is too fat for the clothes and needs a tailor. Daniel tries to comfort her, but the damage is done. It is incredibly awkward. Things completely fall apart at dinner. Daniel is in full control freak mode. He won't let her vape, which is stressing her out. Then they order fufu, and he starts critiquing how she eats it. He is forcing her to use her hands. But Lisa, who works in the medical field, is freaking out about the germs transferring from fingers to soup to mouth. She just wants a spoon. Then Daniel corrects her pronunciation of palm wine. And when she tells him to relax, he accuses her of being drunk. Lisa has had enough. She gets up and goes outside to vape in the parking lot. in pure defiance. They argue in the parking lot because Daniel was waving his hand in her face. He claims he was checking if she was awake, but she feels disrespected. When they finally sit back down, Daniel drops the line of the century. He tells her that he told his uncle she is a Christian who doesn't smoke. And he says, quote, "In my family, we don't tell lies." Sir, you don't tell lies? Your fiancé is currently married to another person. Lisa asks if they can marry without the blessing, and he says no. So now Lisa is sweating bullets about the vaping, thinking that is the big secret that could ruin everything. But we all know if the uncle finds out about her lesbian marriages, this entire relationship is going up in smoke. Vape smoke, specifically. And that is where we wrap it up for this week. What an episode. We had Stig forgetting the lyrics to his homewrecker anthem, Rick accusing Trisha of being a gold digger, and Forrest accidentally funding a luxury bed and breakfast while thinking he was saving a starving family. But the award for the biggest ticking time bomb goes to Lisa. She is worried about hiding a vape pen while she is hiding a whole wife back in the States. The delusion is real, folks. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Daniel's uncle is going to see through Lisa? And what was cringier, Stig's performance or Daniel's foo-foo lesson? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the fallout next week. I'm gonna go find a spoon for my soup. See you next time.